Super Mario Odyssey, quite possibly the biggest Mario game of all time, with over 800 unique moons to collect, 17 kingdoms to visit, and a whole bunch of captures. This game has next to no limits, giving players the freedom to do nearly anything they want, so it would only be a matter of time before the community would push this game to the limits, and this is how they did it. Let's start with the most popular section of this video, speedrunning. When Super Mario Odyssey was first released, everyone was trying their best to beat the game as fast as possible. There were times coming in with 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 47 seconds being the fastest that I could find at the time. No one thought that a sub-hour would ever be possible, but on March 23rd of 2019, around a year and a half after the game was released, Nitro would do this.
Yes, dude. Yes. Yes.
A 59-59-25 run, just under an hour by less than a second, but still under an hour. However, over the course of the next 5 years, the world record would go to this. Quite a difference, but how is there such improvements that a potential sub-56 run could happen in the future? Well, remember how I said this was possibly the biggest Mario game? I never said it was a perfect game. There are tons of bugs and glitches that can help players beat the game as quickly as possible, starting out before the run even starts. While there's a lot of tricks that go into speedruns, so much that you can make an entire video on this topic, I'll be going over a couple. Before the speedrun even starts, players set their time and date on their Switch to be just before daylight savings time, so that way in Sand Kingdom they can plant a seed that normally requires 20 minutes to grow. But because of their time settings, daylight saving times kicks in and the game thinks an hour has passed, so the seed grows quickly. In Cascade Kingdom, there used to be a trick called Dino Skip, but there's since been a trick called Dino Skip Skip, or DSS. To do DSS, you have to scale this wall without bonking, and then climb the skull to get Tomato and Brute faster. In Wooded Kingdom, you use this nut to climb out of bounds, along with grabbing this moon in the maze, and finally do a triple jump to grab this moon in Flooded Pipes. That's 3 out of bounds clips in a singular kingdom, and it doesn't stop there. In Metro Kingdom, players use the Mecha Wiggler to clip out of the boss arena, along with getting out of bounds in snow to access the sub area quicker. And to wrap up Snow Kingdom, players do a very hard trick jump called Snow Dram. To give you an idea of how hard it is, Alpharad got it for the first try after over 6 hours of trying.
Mess up your timing a little bit for what you've been doing consistently and accidentally get it.
In Seaside Kingdom, you use a Cheep Cheep to go out of bounds, not once, but twice. The craziest part is yet to come though. In Moon Kingdom, after beating Bowser and capturing him, this happens. With several years of discoveries, game knowledge, and practice to move as fast as humanly possible, the Any% speedrun has been constantly pushing Mario Odyssey to new limits. This isn't the only speedrun category though. If you looked up the speedrunning.com leaderboard for this game, there are an additional 5 categories, but if you go to the categories extension, there's officially 26. For this section of the video, I'll be talking about 4 of them: All Moons, 100%, Min Caps, and Star Percent. Let's start with All Moons and 100%. The main difference between them is that in an All Moon speedrun, your only goal is to collect every moon in the game, while a 100% speedrun does everything required in the game.
Every costume, every purple coin, every checkpoint. We're getting everything in the game.
And remember how I said there was over 800 unique moons? Well, somehow the community has found the most efficient route possible for both every moon and 100%.
It's because I don't know the route, and Timpani has made a wonderful thing.
The entire game, fully optimized, can be beaten in under 9 hours. To give you an idea about how impressive that is, when the game first came out, the first recorded record for a 100% run was 22 hours, 10 minutes, and 54 seconds. The community has found a way to cut this time in more than half and is nearly at a third of the first run. With more time, players will likely be able to do this, pushing the game to new limits. Now let's look at star percent. The category focuses on collecting a single moon in Mushroom Kingdom as fast as possible. You can do this by beating the game as fast as possible and then grabbing a star as quickly as you can upon reaching Mushroom Kingdom, or you can do this. Now, the top of the star percent leaderboard doesn't seem to be too active, with the second place for one player being over 4 years ago, and the top of 2 players being over a year ago, but Gorganon, who has a second place in 2-player mode, and Aspen claimed a 3rd place spot June 3rd, meaning they'll likely be improving and trying to claim the world record soon. The last and possibly most insane category, Mincaps Any Percent, aims to beat the game as fast as possible with the least amount of captures. Originally, players would use 16 captures to beat the game, but over time, this number would shrink down to just 3. How did they do it? Well, as it turns out, most of the captures were used on wires, and there didn't seem to be another way to travel those huge distances without using a checkpoint flag. There's a neat mechanic in Odyssey where if you throw Cappy at a checkpoint flag, he'll activate it. But to have Cappy hit a checkpoint flag, you need to be nearby, right? Well, the Odyssey community found out that if you do a Cappy return cancel, or CRC, Cappy can do this. To explain a CRC, in 2-player mode, if you press a certain button, Cappy starts returning back to Mario, and if after 3 seconds he's not back to Mario, he teleports. But if during the teleportation moment you press the return button again, this instead moves Cappy however far away he is from Mario in another direction. Speedrunners use this to skip out on so many captures. The community is constantly being pushed to new limits, with new discoveries being made, new techniques, and just straight up good movement. There's no telling how far the speedrunning aspect of this game has yet to come. But speedrunning isn't the only part of Mario Odyssey. In the intro, I said that this game gives players freedom to do nearly anything, and nearly anything is exactly what players would do. What you're watching are called trick jumps. Some are easy while others are difficult like Snowdram. At least that's what you think, except the trick jumping Discord community ranks Snowdram a 4 out of 10 difficulty. And that's because the community has thought of such insane trick jumps, constantly challenging limits to how far you can go. Let's start with some of the easier rated ones. Metro Impossible is a trick jump where you try to make it from the Odyssey to the mainland of Metro Kingdom. This has the name Metro Impossible for being deemed impossible in 2017 when the game was first released. It is now ranked a 0.5 out of 10, because of 1, the knowledge and game skills at the time versus now, and 2, just how insane trick jumping has come. There are now hundreds of trick jumps, each having their own name and difficulty rating. But the thing is, trick jumping isn't like speedrunning. In speedrunning, players find the most optimal route to complete whatever category they're doing. But trick jumping isn't useful to the game, at least not all of the time. Obviously some of them are, like Snowdram being used to collect the last moon in Snow Kingdom. But for the most part, trick jumping doesn't add much to the game, other than proving you can get from point A to point B without touching the ground. So what's the point in trick jumping? Well, it still does see just how much is possible in Odyssey. For example, look at this trick jump called Glide Don't. There's not really much to gain from not using Glide On. Whether you do the trick jump or use the capture, you're still going to wind up in the same place. But doing it this way shows that there's so much potential to this game. We've proven that you can make it to Dark Side without using the Swire. Or you can make it to the land from the Sky Island in Bowser's Kingdom. or up here in Sand Kingdom. You get the idea. Players are constantly trying to get to areas we'd have normally never gone through trick jumping. And through trick jumping, players are also mastering Mario's controls with Cappy, going long distances in one go, and always setting and breaking new limitations to Odyssey. Just like trick jumping and speedrunning, the 100% not modding would never alter how the game is played side of things is constantly evolving. The two biggest are probably online multiplayer and custom kingdoms. It makes sense that these would be the biggest. YouTubers such as Smallant, CJ Yuh, Fur, and Grand Pooh Bear, to name a few, have all made multiple videos with online multiplayer, and they've all done really well. As a matter of fact, out of Pooh's 10 most popular videos, 8 of them are hide and seek. But let's talk about how this totally not a mod, completely normal game mode has evolved. Online multiplayer started out with just 4 players, however hide and seek would quickly become so much more. First having 6 players, then 8, then 9, then 10. Then teams were added.
We have 5 people on each team. We have 5 people on US and 5 people on the French side. We will be picking a kingdom, and then one team will seek and one team will hide.
There's so much more to this that could honestly be its own separate video, though if you'd like to see the history of Mario Odyssey hide and seek, let me know and I might make a video on it in the future. Anyways, hide and seek is constantly reaching new limits. It's come a long way from when it was first introduced. Similarly, custom kingdoms are also hitting new limits. Look at this kingdom called Bon Bones Mountain, or Yoshi Star Kingdom. There are so many custom kingdoms that you could make a sequel version of the game using completely custom kingdoms. Oh, would you look at that, someone already did. But what makes this absolutely insane is this is what custom levels looked like just 5 years ago. Don't get me wrong, this is still very impressive, but compared to what we have now, the 100% normal, not at all modding part of Odyssey has come a long way. The creators are becoming more and more talented. If you'd like to see more of these kingdoms, I'd recommend checking out other people playing through the levels since they show off more of the kingdoms. But there's more to 100% normal gameplay that isn't modding. This is Mario Odyssey, but the floor is poisoned, which changes the game to where the floor is poisoned, making for a very challenging playthrough of the game as players can't be on the floor. And this is Kaizo Mario, which makes the game so much harder.
Actually, a pretty good challenge, and it's very satisfying to beat it for the first time. I mean, it only took me 3 hours the first time I did it.
This is a speedrun of the game where anytime Fur blinks, Mario gets teleported randomly throughout the kingdom he's in. There are custom moons hidden by viewers, and this is 2D Mario outside of the 2D fields. You get the idea. There's so many different ways to play the game 100% normally, and it's constantly getting more ideas added. I don't think there will ever be a limit to this aspect of the game. From literally inventing multiplayer to using facial recognition to teleport Mario, the side of the community has and will continue to take this as far as they can. Let's go back to the normal game now. Players are constantly improving at the game and finding new discoveries. This was already said, but there's more to Odyssey than just speedrunning and trick jumping. This is how the community really pushed Mario Odyssey to new limits. First, let's start with the famous part of the game, Koopa freerunning. I ignored a speedrun category called Koopa Freerunning RTA because the speedrun rules require that you complete every Koopa freerunning. To be at the top of the leaderboard, you have to be insanely good at every kingdom. But what if you focus on just one kingdom? Well, players have gotten so good at individual kingdoms that to be in the top 100, you would need to grind for hours. And that's just top 100 in one of the kingdoms. Look how fast players move. Just like Koopa Freerunning, there are a few other minigames in Odyssey, most notably being Jump Rope Challenge in Metro Kingdom and Volleyball in Seaside Kingdom. Both of these have become broken. For Jump Rope Challenge, there's a glitch using the litters that allows you to never mess up. It's unclear what the actual world record is since so many people use this glitch, but I found this run for volleyball where Super Nintendo got 1,483 points. Yet similar to Jump Rope Challenge, the community found a glitch. Still, finding the glitches to both of these minigames is not a bad thing. It just makes non-glitch records harder to find. And if you thought the glitching stopped there, let me introduce you to Luigi's Balloon World. This game mode has two sides. Players that hide the balloon and players that try to find and pop the balloon. This made players curious. What is the best way to hide these balloons? And further, could you place a balloon that's unpoppable? There are some incredibly hidden balloons, seeming just out of reach. Some aren't even in the normal playing fields, but instead out of bounds. Players have found out how Luigi's Balloon World works and have done what seems impossible. On the other end of it, some are going for these near unpoppable balloons, making videos of their own showing off these skills. Now let's focus on some bigger accomplishments. Remember, Odyssey is a very, very big game, with even the best of the best needing over 55 minutes just to beat it. Now imagine if they couldn't see the game. This idea seemed impossible for about a year. On December 10th of 2018, Smalllight would upload a video titled I Tried to Beat Super Mario Odyssey Blindfolded, where he would try to beat the game without sight. He would use tricks such as doing 4 dives after bonking on a pole in Cap Kingdom to know where he was.
It begins. Roll 3, bonk, then I think it's 4 dives. 1, 2, 3, 4, roll.
If done successfully, he would be the first person in the world to beat Odyssey completely blindfolded. The run didn't quite go to plan though. He quickly lost track of where Mario was.
We shake until we're on solid ground.
But in true Smalllight spirit, he didn't give up, making it all the way to Moon Kingdom and beating Bowser before finally ending the run.
Sorry guys, I can't do it.
He came back to this on January 5th of 2019, this time actually completing the run. The run took him over 12 hours, but he did it. He beat Mario Odyssey from start to finish without ever looking at the game once. And similarly in skill, CJ Ya uploaded a video where he took the min-cap speedrun to the extreme. He collected the most amount of moons possible with just 3 captures, spending over 30 hours doing insane tactics such as damage boosting and launching on Kingdom to collect music shards, and possibly the most iconic moment of his entire channel, doing 130 nut jumps in a row to collect this moon.
Holy shit, is that enough? Is that enough? Oh my god, oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
To give you an idea about how insane that is, each nut jump has about a 2-frame window or 1/30th of a second, and he did 130 of those in a row. CJ wound up collecting a total of 500 moons. And quite the opposite, a player by the name of Docile wanted to figure out the most amount of moons you can get without Mario. The rules of Min Mario are different from Min Captures by one main difference. In Min Captures, you're only allowed 3 captures in the entire run, and they're the only required captures. But in Min Mario, you can go through the entire process to unlock a moon using Mario. The only thing that matters is that you have to collect the moon in a capture. This category uses so much game knowledge and glitches to do everything in its power to bring the number up as high as possible. The most notable of this run has to be glitching this Hammer Bro to start doing this and allows you to capture him and collect this moon. The Super Mario Odyssey community is constantly evolving, and so is the game itself. Players are constantly creating and breaking new limits, so much so that what used to be considered impossible is now a joke. There's no telling how this game will turn out in any aspect of it, but what I've talked about is likely just the beginning of the future of Super Mario Odyssey.